8:07 Central African Time. Hello, Sunny Bonani. Welcome to the final playoff race. Welcome to the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Welcome to Singapore. Tonight, we determine who will cement their place or will finalize their place in the Tier 2 lineup next season. A season which I would have you know begins next week. In the current lead of this Tier 2 playoff is Nkwali, who we're hoping will join us before all is said and done. Grimjaw is currently second in the standings. Fana Finder, currently P3 in the standings. Zule, who you see here in the lobby on 18 points, is level on points with Fana Finder. So Fana Finder and Zule are pretty much battling it out here tonight. We do hope that all of those drivers involved could join us. Sir Lancelot, I do understand, will be joining us a little bit later when the power is restored to his residential area. So we can expect Sir Lancelot. And, well, speak of the devil, there is a Sir Lancelot here to stake his claim on a possible spot in Tier 2. Sir Lancelot has had a nightmare of a playoff season. 2 DNFs. He crashed out in the USA. He crashed out in Saudi Arabia. Will it be third time lucky for the driver who today is in the colors of Aston Martin? Well, time will tell. I do hope that we can get racing and get going as soon as is humanly possible. It is a new layout here at the Singapore, at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. And we do hope to be racing in just a moment. Thank you for joining us. Here we are, folks. The night sky, clear skies out here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. We should be getting going in a few. I do see the famous Red Bull garage over here as the likes of Sig Fig is wishing these three drivers the very best. Just to let you know of the point situation, Nkwali with 40 points is, well, sitting comfortably at the top of the standings. In second place, Grimjaw with 26 points. Grimjaw is here. Fana Finder currently in P3 on 18 points. Zule in P4 also on 18 points. So if somehow Fana Finder manages to join this lobby, then it's going to be a straight fight between Zule and Fana Finder to see who could get the best result here today, because they both have one DNF and one second place finish each. So it is pretty much very, very tight. Grimjaw and Nkwali in a slightly more comfortable position. But if Grimjaw somehow has a nightmare and crashes out here, then, well, wouldn't that make things very, very interesting here indeed? But of course, we do not wish drivers ill luck. We wish them only the very best. We will see who exactly will come out first onto this new layout of the Marina Bay Street Circuit here in Singapore. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for choosing BrakeAway League Race. And Quali has been wishing them luck in the comment section. The real Kaboza superstar Tier 1 driver is also here, as is Sig Fig in the comment section. We do hope more of you will join. And we are looking forward to a fantastic race in Prospect. None of the drivers coming out as things currently stand, putting the final touches to their setups. It's a pitch black sky, clear weather here in Singapore. It is quite warm, as is usually the case whenever we do have Grands Prix here. So I do hope that we will have some, well, decent racing here. Grimjaw has looked very, very comfortable since taking part in these playoffs. And if it's another smooth race for Grimjaw, then, well, it's going to be a very, very interesting driver to watch, potentially in Tier 2 next season. Zule, Sir Lancelot, flying the flag for the former Tier 3 contingent. They will look to, well, pretty much stake their claim and cement their spots as Tier 2 drivers next season. Don't forget, tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central African time, we will have the playoffs to determine the final 3 drivers to secure their places in the top tier of the BrakeAway Racing League. In this short qualifying session, they have 18 minutes in total to go out on track and go around this circuit as fast as they possibly can, set as fast a lap as they possibly can to make sure that they qualify as high up the grid as possible. Only 3 drivers, so not too much in the way of pressure. But we do hope that it is going to be entertaining nonetheless. Sir Lancelot, comfortable enough to be, well, peeking into the comments section as he puts the final touches to that car. We'll make sure we bring you all of the action. Zotile is in the comments section as well. It's good, of course, to see all of you here. It's a brand new layout, folks. The old circuit used to be about just over 5 kilometers long, but as you'll notice, in Sector 3, they've eliminated that whole portion of the track which used to take the drivers underneath the grandstands, and it's now a much more straightforward setup in Sector 3, as you will see. Zule is going to be the first to set a representative effort. The Aston Martin driver in that beautiful livery, making his way now out through the first sector. We'll see how Zule will do. It's been a mixed bag, as we've mentioned. Started off on a very bad note, crashing out DNF in the USA and Las Vegas, but managed to bring the car home in P2, as Lancelot is not feeling very confident, saying, "What the heck am I doing here?" Zule with a huge moment in this second sector here, almost having a huge moment with the wall. So you'll notice he's now making his way towards turn number 14, I believe. Yep. And this is where the new track layout is eventually seen. So this slight kink towards the left is 15, and we used to have a right turn right about here, but not anymore. And the grandstand that we used to pass is on the right, but instead it goes all the way straight down towards this right-hander, which is the new turn number 16 into 17. Much, much faster track. Last time, I believe, that Tier 2 race here, Don Ravico set a fastest time in the 1 minute 37 seconds. This time, I do believe, of course, because it's a slightly modified track, it should be a quicker time. Zule, your first stop. It's all the pressure on you to set the initial benchmark. Turns 1 and 2, navigated without too much incident. He did take a little bit of curve there. Was looking like he was quite late on the brakes there, trying to gain as much of an advantage as possible. He's coming to the end of Sector 1 now. What will the split be? 28.986 for Zule, who has navigated that turn number 7 without much incident. And here he comes now, looking to complete Sector 2, trying to carry as much speed as possible. Took that left-hander through gear number 4, up to 5, 6, and he will brake and go all the way down to 4 through this sequence of corners. Not too shabby. Zule might just be a person who has put in the time. This is, of course, a crucial one. Second gear now, as he will send that car hurtling down towards turn number 14 and the brand new Sector 3. It's Zule hurtling down 108.423. Keep note of that as the other 2 drivers are about to make their way now. Here he comes. Now, this is turn number 15 down in the new section of the track, the new layout of the track, I beg your pardon, into the brand new turn number 16. Takes a little bit of curve and is looking very comfortable. No invalidations. Remember, Tier 2's quickest time last time we were here in normal conditions was a 1:37. It's a 1:34.582 for Zule. And the person who will be following him is none other than Grimjaw, whose Sector 1 split is quicker. It's a 27.006 compared to Zule, who was in the 28 seconds, I believe, at the end of his Sector 1. Now, what will Grimjaw's Sector 2 split be? Look at the amount of speed that this Ferrari is carrying through this also technically demanding Sector 2, which is soon to come to a conclusion. Will it be purple for Grimjaw? The answer is yes, 104.960. Oh, man, taking all of the curb, using all of the track limits as he sends it screaming down toward turn number 16. Grimjaw will be a problem as soon as he gets to Tier 1, so says Zotile. Well, we look forward to seeing Grimjaw doing his thing in Tier 2, 134.5 is the early benchmark. Here comes Grimjaw's answer. Look at that margin. 130.197 is a heck of a statement. Here comes Sir Lancelot's answer. Tucks right in between the two of them. It is a 33.248. And Grimjaw and the Ferrari shows their class very, very early. Sensational stuff by the Ferrari driver, and I do wonder if he's still giving it a proper push. I'll tell you, by the time he gets to the end of the sector, he's definitely going on an in-lap here. Sir Lancelot getting fire emojis from Zotile. Crash also responding to that scorching effort by Grimjaw, 130.197. Take note, Tier 2, take note, potential Tier 1 drivers who are going to be doing this exact circuit, this exact qualifying simulation tomorrow. Man Ray, it's good to see you in the comments section, as well as everybody who is joining us here. Sir Lancelot now was not looking too confident in the comment section a little bit earlier on, but I'll tell you what, he's gone quicker than Zule, currently nestled in that P2 spot as things currently stand. We have just under 9 minutes of this session to go, as the prospective Tier 2 drivers are staking their claim to take part in the second tier in BrakeAway League Racing, which resumes its brand new season next week. Sir Lancelot now the last car, which is going to make its way back towards the pits. That red light is flashing, meaning that Aston Martin is harvesting some energy. As he gets back, Lancelot definitely pushed those tires and now nurses that car all the way back to the pit lane. We've seen some dramatic moments coming into the pits in actual races in seasons past. Will we see similar moments in the pressure cooker of an actual race situation? I do wonder. We have just 8 minutes before the race kicks off in earnest, so to speak. Caboza not seeming too confident in the comment section about his future prospects, but of course Caboza, a very modest driver. He's known to be very modest, is Caboza. Talking about, hey, I haven't put in any practice, and then come the end of the race, Caboza's like, yeah, thanks guys, that was a tough podium place, but I managed to do it. Caboza, very pacey driver, looking forward to seeing him in Tier 1 action next season. Prince, the Prince of South Africa, is in the comment section saying Zotile is not ready. Billy wants a friend in Tier 2 who will keep him company in the Tier 2 back marker section. You must just send it today, says Zotile in response. This is F1. Billy Hendricks says, there is no way I will be a back marker. Looking to stake his claim is Billy Hendricks on some good performances in the seasons and the times to come. Well, folks. So we've just seen what these drivers look like in this modified circuit. Grimjaw, what an absolutely sensational effort that is. 130.197. I'll remind you that the last time Tier 2 raced here, of course, a much fuller grid. It was during the season. I believe the time there was a 137 set by none other than Don Rabico, who is now, of course, the champion of the top tier of BrakeAway League Racing. Looking forward to being challenged by many, many more drivers in Tier 1. I cannot wait to see how this one pans out. as Sir Lancelot this time becomes the first to go out on a fresh set of soft tires. It looks like Grimjaw has kept the same tire set on. Sir Lancelot and Zule, as you can see on the top left of your screen, opting to fit a brand new set of soft compound tires. David is in the comment section cheering on Zule, saying Zule for the win. I'll tell you what, David, Zule is within touching distance. Zule has 18 points, is currently 4th in the standings for the playoffs. Only 3 drivers can be promoted come the end of tonight. Zule is within touching distance. All he needs to do really is gain more points than Fana Finder, who unfortunately is not here in this lobby. So Zule just needs to bring this car home, and he will pretty much be guaranteed that Tier 2 spot next season. 18 points for Zule, 18 points for Fana Finder, who is 3rd in the playoff log. On 26 points is Grimjaw, who missed the first race. And on 40 points is Nkwali, who is not in this lobby, but is leading the playoff standings in that race to make sure that they are racing in Tier 2 next season. Bongani, Debo Croc says, I really hope we see more drivers. Well, Debo Croc, I definitely hope so too. Here comes Sir Lancelot. We're going to hop on board now with the Aston Martin driver to see how well he navigates his second run. Zule will be next on a fresh set of soft compound tires, but here comes Sir Lancelot into turn number 1, takes a little bit of curve into 2, and does not quite nail the apex of turn number 3. It sends it straight into the wall. Does Sir Lancelot? On the exit of turn number 3, Sir Lancelot makes a keen acquaintance with the wall, and that front left wing end plate is gone. It is lap abandoned, and Sir Lancelot breathes a huge sigh of relief because that car is still running. Man, oh man, oh man. The pressure cooker of the final playoff race, Sir Lancelot, I would have you know, is in with a golden opportunity to leapfrog Zule and possibly even Fana Finder here today. Remember, Sir Lancelot crashed out in the first race of the playoffs, crashed out in the second race of the playoffs, and makes a keen acquaintance with the wall in his second push lap of this qualifying session. So, heart in mouth moment for Sir Lancelot. Mistakes starting to trickle in as the pressure ratchets up. Up next, it's Zule, whose 134.582 was only good enough to put him in P3 by the time this very small starting grid will race in just under 3.5 minutes time. Will Zule hold their nerve? Will Zule make sure that they do not make any acquaintance as far as with any walls are concerned? Here he comes now towards turn number 16 in this final part of their outlap. Sir Lancelot, will you have enough time to come out and give it another push lap? Grimjaw sees no need to risk it. Here comes Zule now, making their way towards turn number 1. We saw Sir Lancelot come unstuck on the exit of 3. Zule takes the curve on 2, touches the apex mildly on the exit of 3. No such issues for Zule. It's a much cleaner navigation of this initial part of Sector 1. Turn 4 is clean. There'll be a slight kick as he now makes his way towards the braking zone, towards that left-hander, which is turn number 7. Navigated without incident, looking good. His Sector 2 split is one that we're going to watch very, very closely. It's good to be back, Don Radical, as Sig Fig says, you know what? Those walls in Las Vegas are even worse. Not to be trifled with at all. Sector 2, Zule today in the colors of Alfa Romeo, now making his way towards the end of Sector 2. Looking very, very good is Zule. I do wonder if you can improve on that 134.582. His Sector 2 split. Will it be an improvement? The answer is yes, emphatically so. 3.2 seconds worth of improvement. So it's Zule on the limits. It's Zule on the brink of leapfrogging Sir Lancelot. Now, making his way through the modified section of the track. into the braking zone towards turn number 16, takes quite a little bit of curve there, and Buddha makes their presence felt in the lobby, looking to do something special. Here comes Zule, Alfa Romeo towards the line. What'll it be? It will be a 1:30.579 Grimjaw. Eat your heart out. I can also set a time in the 1 minute 30 seconds. Grimjaw will have been watching that very, very closely, because Zule, at the death of this qualifying session, shows a taste of his true pace. And that was absolutely sensational by Zule, within touching distance of Grimjaw. 3/10 and some change? Man, oh man, oh man. I look forward to seeing what these two can do as the fire emojis come raining in for Zule's very, very decent effort here. Takes the applause, takes the adulation of the watching fans, opts to retire that car, and Buddha thankfully joined the lobby in time to be a part of proceedings here. We'll start from P4, of course, having not been able to set a representative time, but Buddha did come out, perhaps just for the sake of getting a feel of this modified circuit. So Buddha will make it 4 drivers here. Buddha really swimming an uphill battle here. 0 points. Could not take part in the race, the first race in the United States. Did not take part in the second playoff race in Saudi Arabia, but is here in this final race here in Singapore. So, Buddha, what you need to do is gain more points than Fanafinder. Fanafinder has 18 points. Zule is in the race and also has 18 points. Buddha will hope that Zule has a nightmare and somehow has a DNF, because that is pretty much Buddha's best chance. And Buddha will need to finish either first or second if he's to do something really, really special here. He's going to need to finish second minimum, and he's going to hope that Zule does not make it to the end of this race. There it is, folks. It's Grimjaw who's going to start in pole position. Zule, P2. Sir Lancelot will start in P3. The gap between those two, almost 4/10 of a second. And Sir Lancelot further 3 seconds back. Titus says, you know what? I hope we do not have any DNFs. Looking forward to some great racing. Is the former champion of the top tier, Titus. Well, you're just in time for the start of the race. Welcome to the Marina Bay Street Circuit. Welcome to Singapore. Welcome to the big one. Tonight, we finalize the final lineup, or the final 3 drivers who will complete the lineup of Tier 2 of the BrakeAway Racing League for next season. As we get a look at some of the stewards, or some of the marshals, rather, making sure that everything is good and set and safe, we will be getting straight into the racing action. A lot of racing on the way. I do hope that it's a clean race. We do know how treacherous this track is. It's unforgiving. There's not much in the way of, leniency if you make a major mistake. We saw what happened with Sir Lancelot on their second push lap. So we will see how this goes. The Prince of South Africa cheering on Zule for the win. We will see how that goes. Definitely Grimjaw, says Zotile in the comment section as well. Let us see how it all goes. I cannot wait, folks. Modified circuit has 19 corners as opposed to the 23 in the previous configuration. And we're yet to get the official track length. I believe that will be clarified when we actually get to Singapore in the actual season that we will see in due course, from the 15th to the 17th of September. It's coming up very, very soon. Here we go, folks. It's the first of 31 laps. It's 4 lights. It's 5 lights. It's the only time South Africans look forward to the lights going out. It's advantage Grimjaw as far as pole position is concerned. Oh, Zule has a huge moment. Will Buddha take advantage? The answer is yes. possibly on the inside of Sir Lancelot. Contact, and as Buddha is sent spinning all the way down to P4 where he started. He had the jump on Sir Lancelot, but they made huge contact there, and as Buddha will now have to fight his way from that P4 spot. Sir Lancelot trying to stay in touch. He's already 1.3 seconds behind the leading pair. It's Zule who is chasing down Grimjaw, and look at that in the rush towards turn number 7. Grimjaw almost a second away of the chasing pack. Man, oh man, the top 2 drivers in a class of their own as far as the start of this race is concerned. 2 seconds is the buffer that they already have to Sir Lancelot, currently running in P3. It's Grimjaw versus Zule in Sector 2 now, making their way, snaking their way away from Sir Lancelot. And as Buddha, sadly, has slipped all the way down to P4. It's Sir Lancelot who hangs on to that P3 spot, and it's Buddha who now has a mountain to climb and will be hoping, will be praying that he did not take too much damage. Grimjaw, in very, very, very quick time, has already eked out a 1.2 second advantage to the chasing Zule. And it looks like in very, very early time, this 4-driver grid will be spread out by some margin. Sir Lancelot is already slipping to about 3.9, soon to be 4 seconds. We'll hop on board now with Zule, who has the front row seats to the race-leading Grimjaw, who has already made his way past turn number 19 to set that initial 136.368. Let's make sure we have all of the information that you would need here, folks. It's a mixed bag as far as tire strategies are concerned. It looks like Grimjaw and Sir Lancelot are the 2 to have started on a medium tire set at the beginning of this race. Zule and Esbuda on that hard tire set. But as we've mentioned, Esbuda is going to have to fight his way from 13 seconds behind Sir Lancelot, who may yet have a word with the stewards, if that is even possible, depending on how things went. Esbuda was trying to waste no time, absolutely sent it, looking to take advantage there of Sir Lancelot early on, but they had that huge coming together. This is Zule, who is now 2.5 seconds behind the race-leading Grimjaw, who has looked nothing short of imperious since making their way into this playoff contention, looking absolutely comfortable, hardly a sweat broken in the race that he took part in, the second race, which was out in Saudi Arabia. It's really in a class of their own, and today in the colors of Ferrari has eked out a significant advantage. Zule huffing and puffing, trying to make sure that they stay within touching distance, but that 2.6 second gap may yet be telling before we get too deep into this race. Grimjaw sets a 34.047 on that full tank of fuel very early on in this race, and Sir Lancelot is only now making their way towards the line. 37.590 is the best that he could do up until this particular point, and as Buddha tries he might, is falling further and further behind that gap. Now 17.8, 17.9, 18 seconds to Sir Lancelot, and I would imagine is not very flattering if we look at how far Esbuda is to the race leader, almost 30 seconds behind Grimjaw in this very early stage of the race. Lap number 3 of a total 31. A lot of racing still to go, but it is Singapore. It is a punishing track if you're not on it. And Esbuda carried a lot of speed there into that right-hander, was looking to make sure that he did not take any unnecessary risks as he tries to bridge that gap. But 28, soon to be 29 seconds is really a long, long way back for the driver who is today in the colors of Red Bull. Looks like Zule has managed to find a little bit of time. That gap between Grimjaw and themselves. Well, not quite growing at the same rate. Did Grimjaw take some damage? I wonder. No, that wing looks like it's still intact, so that gap is hovering. What about 3 seconds? As Grimjaw has a huge moment on the exit of, I believe that was turn number 18, and almost had a terminal moment there with the wall. Managed to catch it there as he ran towards the line. As you can see, that gap was 3 seconds in building, but that mistake trimmed that gap slightly, and Zule managed to gain a couple of tenths. So at this particular point, Grimjaw just wants to absolutely absolutely kill any seeds of hope in the chasing pack. As you can see, he's within 3/10 of his personal best. When he came to the end of that sector 1, was late on the brakes there. That tire, those tires had a huge screeching moment over there. And as you can see, on board with Grimjaw, he's leaving nothing, absolutely nothing to chance. Takes this particular portion. Oh no, Zule is out! Zule has crashed out, but where? Zule becomes the first casualty of this race in Sector 2. Yes, he's out. He lost it in Sector 2. And that means this Buddha has an opportunity to do something very interesting here. Sir Lancelot and Buddha have a golden opportunity. It's an unforced error. Zule was pretty much in no man's land, was driving pretty much on their own, had daylight both in front and behind him, but is crashed out here. The Prince of South Africa barely believing it. What is Zule doing, says Zotal in the comment section. Well, Zule is out of the race, out of the lobby, out of contention. Oh, it's Buddha! DNF sends it straight into the wall! Completely unforced error by Buddha, who joins Zule, and that... It is absolute carnage! And now we only have 2 active drivers in the first 5 laps! Oh my word, what is going on? Buddha, the veteran driver of BrakeAway, one of the founding members of this league, well, puts in an absolute howler, and he sent it straight into the wall. Buddha, what was he doing? Oh man, drama in Singapore. Now 2 drivers. Sir Lancelot, all he has to do is bring this car home. Remember, Sir Lancelot crashed out. He crashed out in the USA. Sir Lancelot crashed out in the second race in Saudi Arabia. And all he needs to do now, he could get lapped. He could get passed 3 times. All he needs to do is just bring that car home. And what we were hoping would have been a really entertaining race with 4 drivers is now left to just 2. It's Grimjaw and Sir Lancelot. And Grimjaw needs to just coast at this particular point. It is drama in the final playoff race. These drivers trying to stake their claim in Tier 2 next season as Buddha is out. Zule is at risk. Fana, Zule, Lancelot will finish on 18 points as things currently stand. That is absolutely correct. Correct, Billy Hendricks. Unless... So what Sir Lancelot would need to do... Sir Lancelot needs to get the fastest lap. Sir Lancelot needs to get the fastest lap to make sure that this does not... result in some sort of squeaky bum time, because at this point, both Zule, Sir Lancelot, and Fana Finder, now that is assuming Sir Lancelot actually makes it home, 3 drivers will have had 1 P2 and 1 D... it would be 2 DNF finishes, as far as Sir Lancelot is concerned. So, considering that Zule... 2 DNFs. No, it would be pretty much identical records then. But then Finder is not represented over here. Attendance and race finishes, asks Crash. Alright, here's the situation, folks. As Sir Lancelot tries to bring this car home without any incident. Finder is currently 3rd in the standings. Finder finished P2 in the United States and crashed out in Saudi Arabia. Finder is not here. Zule crashed out in America, finished P2 in Saudi Arabia. Sir Lancelot crashed out in the 2 races. That was the Las Vegas race, the Saudi Arabia race, and is on course to come home in P2 if he can bring it home. 25 more laps? Come on, says Crash. If Sir Lancelot wanted to make it... well, make it a clean P3 finish without having to put out the calculators and do some additional tallying he needs, then he has no choice but to go for the fastest lap. But is it worth the risk? Would you do it? It's only two drivers. I do wonder how far or how hard Grimjaw will actually push at this particular point. There's so much more racing to go. 25 laps, as you've already noted. Grimjaw coasting out in front, unchallenged. One of only two drivers out here on the circuit. Oh. Grimjaw. 31 laps is a lot, said Romeo, a.k.a. Madla, earlier on. This is going to be a long race for both of them, so says Don Ravico in the comment section. That's Buddha crashing out there, as His Royal Highness King Straw rightly notes. Some of the veteran drivers really struggling at this particular point. Grimjaw 40.7 seconds ahead of Sir Lancelot. Send it after 20 laps. Lance, the Prince of South Africa, perhaps urging Sir Lancelot to go for that fastest lap. Caboza says, "I told you none of the tier 2 drivers would survive the playoffs." Caboza's earlier predictions earlier on. Full 31 laps. These guys must go. Their stamina needs to be tested. So says Caboza in the comment section. They've got so much racing to do, and at this particular point, knowing that all they have to do is just bring the cars home, I suppose the chance of getting complacent and losing concentration is so high. Perhaps that is what happened with S. Buddha. Perhaps he was just thinking, running the numbers in his head, and then he sent it straight into the wall. It was late on the brakes, but Singapore being Singapore, unforgiving circuit, he sent it straight into the wall. Man, Grimjaw just needs to, not take any unnecessary risks and just bring it home here at this particular point. If Grimjaw was to have a major incident needing to change their wing, wouldn't that make things interesting if Sir Lancelot was able to, but he's so far behind he possibly wouldn't even be able to get close enough. It's almost 2 pit stops worth of a gap that Grimjaw has managed to eke out here. Lap 9 of 31. So much more racing to go at this particular point. The distance between these two, it may as well be a free practice session. 50 seconds, the gap. Look at the track map. Grimjaw now making his way down in that second sector. Almost going to complete this 9th lap, while the likes of Sir Lancelot is only now just made their way past the start-finish straight. So, that gap between these two growing and growing, but Sir Lancelot needs not take unnecessary risks as far as potentially binning the car is concerned at this particular point. We saw, of course, that heart-in-mouth moment during quali. We pushed too hard and had a moment with the wall on the exit of turn number 3. No need to take any risks at this particular point. He knows what needs to be done. Sir Lancelot. Bongani, Debo Croc says, Lancelot, he doesn't need to take any risks. Just come into the pits and keep your tires as fresh as possible. Come into the pits again and again. And so says Debo Croc in the comment section. Just urging Lancelot not to risk anything at all. As you can see, his current best time is a 37.5. And as he now makes his way towards the end of Sector 2, he's not pushing at all. He's about 2.5 seconds slower than his best time. Of course, those medium tires are aging. Now soon to be 9 laps old. Grimjaw on that 10th has already begun the 10th lap. Sir Lancelot on the way to ending his ninth, and soon to begin lap number 10. So that is the difference in pace as things currently stand. Grimjaw's best, a 34.0, and Lancelot's 37.5. Grimjaw, oh, those tires screeching. So heavy on the brakes there into that slow left-hander. And as he now completes the second sector, also not pushing unnecessarily hard at that particular point. He goes past the tire marks that Esbuda left on that right-hander before crashing out of this race. Here it comes now to turn number 16. And 17, oh, moment with the curb. Almost has a moment with the wall again. Similar moment that Grimjaw had in the earlier laps of this race. Send it, Lance. You only live once, so says the Prince of South Africa. Plenty racing here is still to go. I'll tell you what, folks, looking forward to the brand new season. Zotal asking about thoughts and expectations of the tier winners and what we're likely to see next season. The Prince of South Africa says crash in the comment section. Prince RC. Well, serial tendencies, so says Billy Hendricks. Not exactly sure if that's a remark on the qualities. Oh, here comes Sir Lancelot. Before I get too carried away, folks, I was just catching up with your comment section. So Sir Lancelot, listening to some of your comments and some of your heads up that you've been given. And he pits now in lap number 10, beginning lap 11 on a brand spanking set of hard compound tires. Of course, Sir Lance can afford to play here, and can't afford to play around and maybe go for a fastest lap. But at this particular point, having already suffered 2 DNFs, he may yet be very risk averse at this particular point. Sir Lancelot is now out, and would you look at that? Look at the track map. Grimjaw perhaps might be getting too excited here, and may want to get this advantage or eke out. Grimjaw there. What is going on? Look at that gap. Grimjaw now 1 minute 34 seconds and very heavy on the brakes, almost sending it into the wall there. But managed to keep it on track. You can hear those tires screeching, as at this particular point, I'm pretty sure Grimjaw just wants to get this move done. He wants to lap the Aston Martin driver ahead of him. Sir Lancelot is he's not necessarily taking it easy. Sir Lancelot is just being very risk averse at this particular point, but Grimjaw will want to lap the driver ahead of him. Oh, almost a moment with the wall there on those soon-to-be 12-lap-old medium compound tires. But try as he might, it looks like Sir Lancelot, even though at this particular point you will be seeing those blue flags. Sir Lancelot not giving anything away. The race stewards will be waving those blue flags at this particular point because Grimjaw is on the verge of lapping Sir Lancelot. Tepiso says these guys are going to crash. Tepiso sees another DNF on the cards here, possibly. And that's Sir Lancelot possibly making way for Grimjaw. There it is. Officially lapped in the 13th lap of a total 31. We're not even halfway through this race, and Grimjaw has been imperious getting that move done. But at this particular point, Sir Lancelot knows that the points potentially are in the bag. Sees no need to take any risks. But Debo Crop on Gandy says, allow the overlap. The race will finish earlier.
bangani funa uvela vayo once ufuna ukuthi le race iphele once athi lo uLancelot angeke eqede i-31 kuzothi i-30 yabo or nilo mangalepha futhi uLancelot uzoshaya mhlambe kuma 29 laps waze bangani.
Yes, Quest Banny, indeed. Maybe Sir Lancelot will definitely have a shorter race by virtue of already being lapped. But whenever Grimjaw comes back into the pits, I beg your pardon, that'll be Sir Lancelot's chance to unlap himself. So we'll see when the Grimjaw will make that particular call. And we can expect, of course, an even faster lap than the one that Grimjaw had already set. Will he come into the pits now? The answer is no. Keeps it going for a 14th lap as the chasing Lancelot is about to begin their 13th lap. Now, on the onboard, you get a sense of just how much Grimjaw is still happy to play with the limits and absolutely send it. Cat Lego says, you know what? If I was Lance... ... We'll see what Cat Lego says they would do if they were Lance. And getting a sense of how hard Grimjaw is pushing, he's still within 1.2 seconds of their fastest lap. Ooh, takes heavy curb there on the exit of turn number, I believe that was 7. Wide of the curb through 8. And the Ferrari driver still giving it an absolute push. Zotao quoting Tindo saying, you know what, I hope these guys do not crush. As Tindo is wont to say from time to time. Wide line that Grimjaw takes. Whoa, Grimjaw is happy to keep on absolutely sending it on these aging medium compound tires. 14 laps in, pretty much the halfway point of this race, and Grimjaw is really content to treat this as a regular race with a much fuller grid at this particular point of the season, or at this particular point of the race. Cat Lego says, you know what, if I was Lance, I would cruise and get lapped 5 times. Even if he crushes this is Crash, Grimjaw has absolutely nothing to lose. That is correct. I would remind you, if you were late to join us, Grimjaw is currently second in the playoff standings, 26 points. So nothing less than a race win with the fastest points would bring Sir Lancelot level with Grimjaw. Those are the stakes. So Sir Lancelot just needs to bring that car home, as Zotal rightfully points out. Grimjaw, 26 points, and Quali is not in this race. But Quali is, of course, safe on that 40-point mark. And Quali did what needed to be done in the first 2 races of this playoff. If Sir Lancelot does finish, he pretty much is going to be level on points with both Fana Finder and Zule. So it's probably going to come down to head-to-head at that particular point, but I will make sure that I have all the necessary info by the end of this race. I will definitely be letting you know who managed to make it without fail, who has secured their seat in Tier 2 for next season. This is Sir Lancelot on those brand spanking new soft compound tires. The gap between these 2 drivers is pretty much a full lap, more than a full lap, 136.380, as we look to see Grimjaw finally make the call to come into the pits. That is Grimjaw on a brand spanking set of hard compound tires. As you can see on the track map, Sir Lancelot managed to unlap themselves. But that may not be enough, considering the pace of Grimjaw. These hard tires will need to be nursed in the early stages. We know that Grimjaw does not like to waste any time. I do hope he keeps it careful. No need to crash here. Almost having a moment there with the wall on the exit of, I believe that was 4. Here comes now into 7, and it's cleanly navigated. Just looking to lap the Aston Martin once again. It's the 16th lap for the Ferrari driver, who has made it out the pits unscathed, and now on the brand new hard tires, we will see just how hard Grimjaw will push. Jaws' lap is 3 seconds faster, says Crash in the comment section. That is the benchmark, folks. 134.047, the fastest lap that Grimjaw managed to put in versus Sir Lancelot's 137.5. I beg your pardon. Oh, here he comes now, really on the limit. He's so happy to drive on the absolute limit at this Marina Bay Street Circuit. Now making our way past the old section where we used to go under the grandstands. Oh, way! Grimjaw again having to catch that car on the exit of 17, but managed to do so once again on the limit. And look at that, using a little bit of that battery. So at this particular point, I think it's safe to assume that Grimjaw is going for the fastest lap once again. And we will get a clear sense by the time he gets to the end of this first sector. Oh, just how much he is pushing. Almost makes contact with the wall on the left-hand side, but Grimjaw being Grimjaw on the limit, and he finds 0.3 of a second worth of an improvement at this particular point. We're past the halfway point of this race. Grimjaw wants to show us the movie, says Zotal in the comment section. He's happy to push. He just wants to make sure that he consolidates his place as the quickest driver on this track. He must just crash out for the sake of Lancelot, so says Zotal. Wouldn't that be interesting? That would catapult Sir Lancelot above the likes of Finder and Zule, who are both hoping that Sir Lancelot has a huge moment and crashes out themselves. Isn't that interesting? Zule and Finder somewhere in South Africa, hoping for the worst as far as Sir Lancelot is concerned. This is Grimjaw on the hunt for the fastest lap of the race. On the hunt to lap Sir Lancelot once again, as he is on the verge of beginning the 18th of a total 31 laps. And once again, on the exit of that particular corner, he flirts with the wall as the Ferrari driver on the absolute limit will definitely go fastest by some margin. Look at that, 32.316 is daylight as far as the pace difference between Grimjaw and Sir Lancelot is concerned. The fastest lap of the race, if Sir Lancelot wants to make it a slam dunk, as far as gaining more points than Finder and Zule, you know what you have to do. You have to go quicker than 32.316. Can it be done? Would you risk it if you were in Sir Lancelot's shoes? There's absolutely no need to do so at this particular point. Man, oh man, oh man. Oh, Crash responding to that pace difference of 5 seconds as far as those laps are concerned. And as you see, Sir Lancelot ghosting it is because he's on the verge of being lapped once again. The stewards have waved the blue flags, meaning you must slow down for the faster car, which is trying to lap you. That is Grimjaw, a full lap ahead of Sir Lancelot as things currently stand. Lap 18 of a total 31. The start of this race was wildly entertaining. Of course, we had that huge moment between Sir Lancelot and Esbuda. And then we had, 2 crashes in very, very quick succession. First Zule, then Esbuda, who counted themselves out of this race. Zotal says, man, that pace difference should give you a sense of how quick some of the picture gap between Tier 1 guys and Tier 3. Oh! Grimjaw with a huge moment on the same corner where Sir Lancelot had a moment with the wall earlier on. So, again and again, Grimjaw just wants to get this over and done with without much of a fuss, but he is really risking a DNF here, is the Ferrari driver. Man, oh man, oh man. Tapiso predicted one more crash before all is said and done here today, it could have been Grimjaw at the start of his 19th tour around the Marina Bay Street Circuit. It was very, very, very close, but he managed to keep it running. So Grimjaw happy to stay pushing for so long. Man. Christopher Crash in the comment section does not expect that we will see Sir Lancelot coming anywhere near that fast lap set by Grimjaw, considering he did not come anywhere close to a 1 minute 32 even in quali. Oof. As once again Grimjaw flirts with that wall. If I were a betting man, well, if ever there were to be another moment, potentially terminal moment, it would be that wall in the run-up towards the final corner. Time and time again, Grimjaw has flirted with that wall on the right-hand side, but has survived. Right, Sitch Fig, to answer your question, I was just making sure that I get all the right information. I believe if it stays as is, then of course Sir Lancelot, Zule, and Fanafinder would be on equal points. I just want to make sure that come the end of this race, I have the correct information, which I believe the race results would take factors such as, I believe, things like head-to-head and race attendance, I believe, would or could come into play. So I will make sure that by the end of this race, I let you know what the actual situation is at the end of proceedings here. What a story it would be for Sir Lancelot if he just survives towards the end of this race, considering the nightmare that he had in races number 1 and 2. The Prince of South Africa says, you know what, I'd love to see a 5-lapper between these guys in Portugal. That would be quite something. We remember the Portugal circuit is where we had the playoffs last time out at the end of the last season. We saw the likes of Ban Kobe and Josh put on a heck of a show to secure their survival in Tier 1 for this past season. That was a very, very entertaining playoff between some of those Tier 1 drivers. Tapiso was there, Ban Kobe was there, Josh was there. It was, well, quite an entertaining playoff. Season, or a playoff stint, if you will. 10 laps of this circuit still to go. Well, 9 for Sir Lancelot, because Grimjaw is really not making much of a fuss as far as his own race is concerned. Now, folks, this is where race attendance man, watching Grimjaw on the limits is really, really quite something.
thina abanye asikwazi ukuyidrayiva le moto lezi siphele sawabheka boGrimjaw cishe bychat mina ngabe kudala ngifake ebondweni la idini angazi ifana ihemeri yeSingapore mara ngabe sengihleli ngabe sengizibusele ihemeri lapha ku-pit lane.
Yes, indeed, that could have been the case. The Grimjaw quite enjoys being on the limit. Right. Oh. Man, oh man, oh man. Grimjaw on the limit as Sir Lancelot racks up a 3-second time penalty for track limit infringements, but will not matter. One of only 2 drivers already been lapped. Well, he could just rack up those time penalties to his heart's content, and it would not impact much of this race from here on out. The Prince of South Africa is, of course, reckons that may as well go for it, that being Sir Lancelot. Got nothing to lose, you may as well roll the dice. But can he find 5 seconds? Bongani, a.k.a. Debo Croc, reckons it's, well, far too much of a gap. It's nigh impossible that he would find that margin. Yeah, look at that, 32.3 versus 37.5 is... that's an entire penalty worth of a gap as far as the fastest laps are concerned. Not worth the risk, not worth sending it into the wall and completely losing your prospects. No need to risk it for the biscuit. Sir Lancelot, as things currently stand, would come home at the end of this with an identical record to the likes of Zule. If we take the, of course, Zule and Fanafinder, if you take the playoffs and also the playoff record and also the playoff attendance into consideration. So what is being done now is the stewards, if you will, or race control, are going back and checking elements such as playoff attendance, and there's a lot of course, there's a lot of overlaps with the drivers being equally matched as far as playoff attendance is concerned. But now they're also going back to check the performances as far as these drivers' seasons are concerned to make sure that that we get to understand who could be progressing towards Tier 2 come the end of this race. So, if these drivers had a better record across the entirety of the season is concerned, especially once attendances are also taken into account, then that would go a long way to determine who goes through to Tier 2 come the end of this race. And we have checked, and to my understanding, this man, Sir Lancelot, has a better record as far as the past season is concerned, if we're taking attendances into account. So he made the playoffs, but his season attendance record is better than some of his competitors. So, as things stand, Sir Lancelot needs to bring this car home to secure their seat in Tier 2 for next season. It's lap number 26 of 31. Can Sir Lancelot survive these remaining laps? All he needs to do is cruise. Lance to Tier 2. Here we go. Hashtag here we go, says the Prince of South Africa. Cheering on today's Aston Martin driver. Will he hold his nerve? We saw what happened in quali. But will he hold his nerve this time out in the remaining races? Billy Hendricks says, let us go. And chucks in a couple of emojis for Sir Lancelot, who comes into the pits. Is he going to try for the fastest lap? I tell you what, I hope so. That would make things very interesting. Look at Sir Lancelot. He does not want to risk a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He was absolutely crawling across the entrance to the pit lane at that particular point. What will you do, Sir Lancelot? You've already been lapped. It's the final couple of races to go. He puts on his soft tires. He's going for it. The Prince of South Africa, with his hands on his head, presumably saying, no, Lance, no, you don't have to risk it for the biscuit. But Sir Lancelot is on the verge of entertaining us here, giving us an absolute show. Sir Lancelot is going to go for it. Soft compound tires, and Cepiso has predicted a crash earlier on, and here it comes possibly. Grimjaw is also going to go for the fastest lap. So reckons Kaboza. Will Grimjaw allow Pride to take over, or will Grimjaw just allow Sir Lancelot to somehow gain 5 seconds? Look at that, 32.3 versus 37.5. Do not risk it, says Debo Croc in the comments section. It is not worth crashing out and handing over your Tier 2 seat to either Zule or Fana Finder on a silver platter. Fast lap, Mchiana, says Zotal in the comments section. Sir Lancelot has been involved in some of the most entertaining moments of this race day so far. He had that moment with the wall in qualifying, and had that moment with Esbuda. And at this particular point, at the last stages of this race, is rolling the dice. He's going for it. Sige Fig, it does not quite want him to do it. He says, no, don't do it, Lance. There goes Lance, says Christopher, a.k.a. Crash in the comment section. Now, will Grimjaw go for it? No, Grimjaw is a little bit further behind. Here comes Sir Lancelot. It's the push lap attempt. That battery is fully charged, and here he comes now towards turn number 1. His previous best is a 37.5. Misses the apex ever so slightly, heavy on the curb on turn number 2. Touches the apex ever so slightly on 3, and it looks like Grimjaw is just gonna carry on. He needs not take any unnecessary risks. He doesn't have a choice, says Cepiso. He has to just make sure. He has to make sure. Who is his race engineer, says Zotal in the comment section. Because as things currently stand, there was no need for him to risk it. He's 1.4 seconds quicker than his previous best, but it's nowhere near that 5-second advantage that Grimjaw has managed to eke out. 132.3 versus 137.5. Well, Sir Lancelot is going to need to find so much more now towards the end of sectors 2 and 3. Now making his way towards the traction demanding twisty section of this second sector. Now into through 12 and 13. The Prince of South Africa saying this is Ferrari level indecision. Oh, and Quali in the comment section, heart in mouth moment, and Quali at this particular point will be hoping that Lance bends it and crashes, but here it comes now towards turn number 16. Lance does not know that he is safe, so as far as he's concerned, He thinks that he needs to do this. Now comes across the line, improves, 35.1 is 2.5 seconds quicker, but not quite close enough. That gap, 32.3 versus 35.1. He pushed, he huffed, he puffed, he tried, did Sir Lancelot, but not quite close enough to get that move done. And we'll keep going and going. That battery down to about 46%. Just a couple of laps remaining. Grimjaw, remember, is a full lap ahead. So Sir Lancelot does not exactly have the same amount of laps as Grimjaw. Sapiso says he didn't use ERS on that other straight. Sagefig says, you know what, Crash, you were absolutely right. And Quali says, lol, race engineer. Cadlego says, you know what, I'm not his race engineer today. I might have been giving him some tips, but not today. Let it go. Do not push, so says the Prince of South Africa. Relax, says Zotile. People along the sidelines telling him, hey,
and
it looks like at this particular point you might be harvesting some battery. Billy Hendricks trying to send smoke signals and messages of warning towards Sir Lancelot at this particular point, letting them know that at this point there's no need to take unnecessary risks. That battery at 51%. Will he go for another lap without necessarily charging, or will he give it another push when he crosses the line now? The answer is he's going to try and keep on harvesting. So he's not quite pushing that ERS. Crash wants to see him come into the pits one more time. Tepiso is also another person who's perhaps hoping for another moment of drama before all is said and done. Sir Lancelot now trying to charge up that battery one more time in case he might need to give it another push. Grimjaw is already on the penultimate lap. Ooh, what has been a fantastic race as far as they're concerned, having another moment on the exit of that particular corner. And as you can see, as he ends his first sector, he's still within a second of his fastest lap. He's been lapped. This could be his final lap, says Caboza in the comment section. Oh, Grimjaw again on the limit towards the end of this race. He managed to keep this car running for 30 laps. What a pity it would be if he bended here, even though it wouldn't necessarily make too much of a difference as far as his progression to Tier 2 is concerned. Grimjaw leaving leaving nothing on the line as far as his race pace is concerned. So late in the race, on the verge of crossing the line to begin the 31st and final lap of this race. So folks, as it stands, Billy Hendricks and Caboza noting that the Tier 2, former Tier 2 guys, knocked out of the playoffs. Here comes Grimjaw to begin the 31st and final lap of the race. And Quali and Grimjaw would be going through to Tier 2, and Sir Lancelot, as things stand, would also be a Tier 2 driver next season. This is Grimjaw on the final tour of this circuit. And Sir Lancelot, who had a nightmare start to his playoff season, starting out with those crashes, is on the verge of a sensational promotion to the second tier of Breakaway League Racing. And what a promotion it would be. Tier 2 guys, Fana Finder, Esbuda, Zule, out of Tier 2 as things currently stand. Billy Hendricks says, you know what? I love it for these guys. I absolutely love it. Cat Lego, fire emojis in the comment section. Debo Croc with a well-deserved round of applause for these drivers who have given their absolute all at this particular point in time. Sir Lancelot now making his way soon to begin what would be his actual 30th lap. And he's happy just to slow down and be lapped for the second time, just so this long slog can come to an end. He's gonna allow the plaudits, the applause, the acclaim to go to a man who was imperious in qualifying, sensational, peerless in the race. It's Grimjaw who wins the Singapore Grand Prix, and it is Sir Lancelot promoted to Tier 2 of BrakeAway Racing League. And that is that. In quality, Grimjaw, Sir Lancelot will be your Tier 2 drivers. It's a new look second tier in the new season, which begins next week. And they grin from ear to ear as they high-five in the Ferrari garage, as they do in the Aston Martin. Buddha sadly crashing out and crashing all the way down. Did not survive, did not make it out. Buddha, the veteran driver of BrakeAway Racing League, falls all the way from the top to the very bottom of the BrakeAway Racing League ladder. Sir Lancelot says, you know what, it's a good thing I had the YouTube on to listen to that. I would have risked it otherwise. Being cheered on in the comment section, congratulations, Sir Lancelot. Macabella will be racing in the second tier of BrakeAway Racing League. That is it, folks. Grimjaw, Lancelot are through to Tier 2. Sir Lancelot barely believing his luck after having DNF'd, but that race attendance was crucial because their records were equal in the playoffs. We had to go all the way back and see how their seasons panned out. And in the regular season, Sir Lancelot was reliable, and that reliability, as far as actually racing, saved him a seat in the second tier of BrakeAway Racing League. What a beautifully entertaining race it was, even if some of the biggest moments happened towards the start of the race. The Prince of South Africa welcomes the veteran Buddha to the third tier of BrakeAway Racing League. Man, oh man, oh man. And Quali will be racing in the second tier, and you know what? I would not be surprised to see them make their way up to the top tier before too long. Watch out, folks. Grimjaw is here to stake their claim on the second tier. I cannot wait to see how that pans out in the brand new season. Look out for driver announcements, which also should be coming fairly soon once these playoffs has concluded. Congratulations to Sir Lancelot and Grimjaw and Enquali, who will be racing there next season. Thank you, everybody, for being such great sports in the comment section. It has been beautiful to have you along. Remember to tune in tomorrow, 8 p.m., for the final race in the playoffs to see who will be racing in Tier 1 next season. Tune in, 8 p.m. right here on BrakeAway Racing League. Thank you, everybody, and good night.